I truly believe that everyone has the opportunity to improve. So if you watch this video until the very end, I'm gonna share with you 5 specific ways that you can drop time in 30 days or less. Now, the first thing that we have to do is break it apart. 30 seconds in 30 days means we're dropping 1 second per day. Let's say our goal is 200 meters. Well, we can break apart 200 meters into 450s. And if we take the 450s relative to the 1 second per day, we have 1 second divided by 450s, which equals 0.25 seconds per day per 50. That is what we focus on. And the way we can do that is these next 5 steps. The first one is swimming slower to swim faster. You heard that right. You actually need to train yourself to swim slower, and here's why. Firstly, you have to master the technique. You can't do any of the other things that I'm about to talk about unless you have the fundamentals of the technique, and you can't do that unless you have the proper mechanics. So you have to focus on technique, then we can apply resistance. And when we apply resistance, this is one of the fastest ways to see immediate time drop. Now, if you're not familiar with what it means to add resistance, this is simply like what you do in the weight room. You nail the technique and then you apply weight, only you do it in the water. This can be done with a parachute, it can be done with drag socks, a power tower, you can even add paddles, you can even add fins. All of these things are just adding resistance to your existing movement and patterns in the water. So for example, if you're swimming with paddles, the way you pull with the water, if you add paddles to your hands, you're actually going to increase the surface area, and that's increasing the resistance. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to add intensity, distance, frequency. You want to add all of these different variations, including speed, to your training. Because if you're not doing that, if you're just swimming the same speed all the time, if you're just always trying to swim fast, if you're always swimming medium pace, that ain't gonna cut it. So you have to have diversity in your intensity, distance, frequency, your speed. You also have to train with proper technique, and then you apply layers of resistance and all of that stuff. If you don't wanna think about this and it's just too much and you're trying to get faster, that's why we developed the My Swim Pro app, so you can get a personalized training program just for you, which has all of this layered into it. It'll tell you how fast to go, how much intensity, what kind of equipment you should be using, all that fun stuff. Now, the second thing that you need to focus on if you want to drop time fast is improving your streamline. You gotta remember, the water is 800 times more dense than air. So even if you're swimming in the open water, but you train in the pool, the way you push off the wall is critical. Now remember, there's only 2 ways to swim faster. We already talked about the fact that the water is so thick, this density of water is slowing you down. So when you train to really minimize the surface area of which you have to move through the water, that's the first way to swim faster. It's reducing drag. Now, the second is to increase propulsion. We already talked about that just a little bit. You swim slower, so you have good technique, so that way you can apply the added resistance, and that's how you increase propulsion. So you wanna recognize that water is 800 times more dense than air. There's only 2 ways to swim faster, and you have to make it a habit. When it comes to actually swimming with good technique and having a good streamline, it really starts from your fingertips. And you can do this while watching the video. Think about putting one hand over the other. You wanna line up your fingers, and you want really the palm of your hand right over the other one. Your top hand, your thumb, is gonna grab the bottom of your hand. And then if you're able to, you actually wanna extend your arms above your head. And if you're flexible enough, you wanna lock out your elbows. Now, if you're not flexible enough and you can barely keep your hands together, that means we have some room to improve. Now, if you are flexible enough and just holding your hands together and getting your arms straight is actually pretty easy, believe it or not, you can actually get better at it despite how much flexibility you have. And that comes from the rigidity of your body. So if you're trying to improve your swimming, if you're trying to swim faster, it starts with streamline. That is the fundamental body position in swimming. And every time you push off the wall, you want to focus on holding a rigid body line. You want to feel like a torpedo coming off the wall from your fingertips all the way through your core. The diaphragm is engaged, core is engaged, all the way through to your toes pointed and together. And that is a streamline. If you want to swim faster, you have to do this consistently every single time that you push off the wall, because that speed carries into your stroke and it compounds over time. There's a reason why underwater streamline kick is considered the 5th stroke, because it is so fast and you have to make sure you're training it every day. And streamline is so important, but it's not the only way to improve your swimming. Another way you can work on your technique is with master spas. I'm currently sitting in the Michael Phelps Signature Momentum Swim Spa. This model has an adjustable current that is great for all levels. You can focus on your technique, swim all 4 strokes, and you can do it all from the comfort of your own house. I love how easy it is to adjust the speed and swim at my own pace. I can go from really slow all the way up to sub 1 minute per 100 meters, which is absolutely flying. Now, I've been in a few different models, and what I love about the Master Spa's Signature Momentum is how it gives you a really good workout, and it also doubles as a spa. It combines the benefits of swimming with the therapy of a hot tub. You have to give it a try, so head over to masterspas.com/myswimpro to get $1,000 off a swim spa or $500 off a hot tub. A huge part of swimming technique is timing your breath. And this comes in 2 forms, the technique and the frequency of which you breathe. Let's first talk about your technique. Now, when you're swimming freestyle especially, your fingertips are gonna enter the water about half of a meter in front of your shoulder, and then you're gonna start to rotate. As your arm is extending and reaching full extension underwater, you should really be driving your body in rotation, and you wanna rotate your head, and you wanna keep your head level so that one eye and one ear is underwater. So you'll have one eye above the water and one eye below the water. As you reach full extension, you're still rotating, and you want to keep the water line in the middle of your head. You create a natural wave, and as you're moving, you create a natural wave that's actually going to break away the water from your mouth. And as you're finishing that last stroke here, you start to bring up your arm, and then your head rotates down back to the eyes on the bottom of the pool. And now it's time for the other side. You don't need to breathe every single stroke, but you gotta master the technique first. Now, in terms of actually swimming fast and being able to drop time, let's say you're trying to swim faster in the 50 or 100 freestyle. Your goal is not to breathe that often, if at all. The fastest swimmers in the world, men and women, are not taking any breath in the 50-yard and 50-meter freestyle. If you're not there yet, no worries. Maybe you're taking 1 breath, 2, 3, 5. Whatever your number is, your goal is to train and be able to bring that number down, because when you breathe, that's where frequency comes in. It's slowing you down. Of course, you need the oxygen, because if you don't breathe, you're gonna die, you're gonna pass out. I get it, you're gonna slow down. Even myself, I know I can swim a 50-meter freestyle without taking a breath, no problem. But if I don't breathe, because I'm not trained to do that event with 0 breaths, I will slow down dramatically by the end of the 50, just because everything is shutting down and we're running out of gas. And if that's you, that's okay. But that's why it's so important to train this specific skill, not just the technique, but the frequency of your breath. Now, the next way to swim faster in 30 days is to train with faster swimmers. Now, if you're blessed to be on a team with some of the world's fastest swimmers, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. But it is so beneficial to be around other swimmers who are as fast or faster than you. Just seeing what other people are doing. Can you imagine swimming in the lane next to Michael Phelps or Katie Ledecky? You bet you're gonna be faster if you have the opportunity, because you just feel the energy. You know what's happening in the lane next to you. It will rub off on you, because I truly believe in the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Put yourself in the environment and position yourself for success, so that way you can swim faster and smarter than ever before. Now, the next way to swim faster is to set SMART goals. SMART goals, if you're not familiar, is an acronym. S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for attainable, R is for relevant, and T is for time bound. Here's an example of how this works. Let's say you set yourself a goal and you say, I want to swim faster. This is a terrible goal. Now, it's admirable that you want to swim faster, but it's not a SMART goal. So let's make that same statement, I want to swim faster, and let's turn it into a SMART goal. So we want to be specific. Specific in the sense of swimming faster is normally a time and a distance. In our example here, we chose the 200 meter. So instead of saying, I want to swim faster, I would like to drop 3 seconds in the 200 meter freestyle. So we're being very specific, and we also want to be able to measure it. So when I say 200 meters and also 3 seconds, I want to drop 3 seconds in the 200 meter freestyle. We're both specific and measurable, and it's also attainable. Next up, we have to make sure it's relevant, because if it's not relevant, it's not gonna matter as much, and you're most likely gonna set yourself up for failure because you don't care. So make sure that it is relevant to you and your goals. And finally, it has to be time bound. I wanna drop 3 seconds in the 200 freestyle. It's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's relevant, but there's no time on it. So when we say drop 30 seconds in 30 days, that's a great goal because we have a time horizon. So it's, I wanna drop 3 seconds in the 200 meter freestyle, which is an event that I swim, and I wanna do that by July 31st, and that's maybe 3 months away from today's date. Whatever your goal is, make sure it's a SMART goal. And if you found this video helpful, I know you're gonna find this one helpful over here. It's gonna take your swimming to the next level. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.